What's going on, you guys? It's your huggable hipster here, and welcome back to another episode of Soulsborne Academy. Do not mind the hunters standing in the doorway. They are just there for your protection. Today, we're going to be learning the basics of parrying in Bloodborne. And it is one episode that I have wanted to film for literal months, and I haven't gotten a chance to because there was a certain way that I wanted to go about editing this video and have certain pieces of information in the video. That way it would be most beneficial to you guys. So this is basically the basics of parrying. I'll go into more advanced topics of it whenever I get the chance to. For different bosses, because when you have a boss that is primarily made for parrying, now take for example the Pthumerian Elder versus Lady Maria, both very different bosses and both very different when it comes to their parrying styles. The ways in which you can take down these bosses range from incredibly easy to, okay, this is a little bit more of a challenge. Take Lady Maria for example. Parrying will get her done instantly. Like, you do not even have to think twice. Once you learn the basics of parrying, that is the easiest way to fight her. When it comes to Pthumerian Elder, however, which is the first boss that you will be greeted with in the Pthumerian chambers in order to get to the Pthumerian Queen, which you do need for a platinum for the game, but let's not go into that for right now. When you get to the Pthumerian Elder, he's very quick, he's very on his toes, but his movements are predictable. Now, the Pthumerian Elder is the one that we're going to be going over today to show at least the basics of parrying, so you guys can get at least an idea of how to do it and carry it over into other instances with other bosses and enemies. Now, to put it simply, there are certain movements that the Pthumerian Elder will do in order to signify that, okay, he is ready to be parried. The best way that I can describe on how to properly tell when the Pthumerian Elder is going to be parrying you in his first phase is to wait for the bitch slap. You have to wait until he goes like right above the hairline, right above the eyebrow area in this point, and then you can shoot your gun, and then he'll be in the mode to be parried. When it comes down to it, when you are first going in to parry something, your first instinct is going to be to rush. I gotta do it. I gotta do it quickly. You tend to go into panic mode, and that's the way I am still a little bit when it comes to certain bosses, especially if I don't know their moveset yet. But you want to remain cool, calm, and collected in the face of overwhelming odds. When you look at this guy's second phase, clearly there is a spot. There is an open area in which you can parry. You can shoot your gun and get the parry attack. Now, when it gets to Lady Maria, that's a little bit trickier because you really have to scope out not only the boss battle room, but the way in which she utilizes her attacks, because her attacks are not forgiving at all whatsoever. We're not going to talk much about Maria today. I just want to give you guys kind of a comparison on the fight, because when you look at the Pthumerian Elder versus Lady Maria, there's a lot more elegance in Lady Maria's fight, kind of like Genichiro, if you will, than when you have the Pthumerian Elder, which is a little more chaotic, and you have to really predict where it's going to go next, because one thing I really love about the algorithm that they did for these characters is that it will change up every time you go into the boss battle from what I've seen. So you can't really get accustomed to one style that he's going to do. He will do the same attacks, but he won't do them in the order that you're expecting him to do them. With Lady Maria, from what I've seen, all of her attacks are the same every time you enter in the boss battle, so that shouldn't be really that big of an issue. But for a lot of the chambers and the dungeons and the bosses for those dungeons, they're very mixed up a lot of the time. Like, when you go in there each time, their starting attack might be different. Now, the same thing goes when you're dealing with the Pthumerian Elder, or you're dealing really with any boss battle. The moment that they raise up their hand or shoulder, whatever it is, no matter how quick it is, that is always going to be your signal to parry them. He'll raise his arm, or in the second phase, he'll raise both of his arms up over the eyebrow, and that's your signal to just go ahead and shoot. There's a lot of finesse that goes into parrying when you're first starting, because again, your first instinct is going to be to panic and rush. And it's very difficult to tell yourself, oh, okay, I need to just slow the heart rate down, slow everything down, and become less panicky and more observant. You need to be very observant with these boss battles, which is easier said than done, trust me. But when you get into a mode of where you're dying so many times and you experiment with so many different things, it's not going to seem as hectic or as adrenaline filled, if that makes sense. You'll get used to the boss fight and you'll get used to how the boss will attack you. But in the journey to platinum this game, I'm going to be recording select boss battles so I can do dedicated episodes on how to beat the bosses necessarily. There is one episode I am going to be doing on how to parry Lady Maria. That way it's a parry only run and you're only going to be focusing on that for beating the boss. You can use a lot of aggro and you can use, what is it? Beast's Claw? Beast Breath? I forget which one it is. I think it's a Beast Claw, which will stun her and you'll be able to get her really easily that way. But it's, you know what, my best recommendation is to learn how to parry. That way you have an easier time with her boss battle, because if you learn how to parry, that is literally the easiest way to get her as a boss. Now, when it comes to parrying, the two things that you want your stats to be the highest of are skill and strength. The skill allows the visceral to be 10 times stronger with the attack, and the strength just allows you to have more strength with the visceral attack. But get to the soft cap whenever it goes to the skill and the strength. That way your visceral is just OP and it's as strong as it can be. Now, if you are a first-time player and you want to go for a lot of parrying, build yourself a quality build, which is primarily strength and skill. You want to build on those assets. That way you can have a better visceral attack and you can pretty much go with any weapon you choose throughout the game. But you guys, that was it for today's video. I hope you guys got something out of it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below. I make videos every day here on YouTube. May you find your worth in the waking world, dear hunter. Stay casually nerdy, and I will see you all in the next video. Umbasa.